guys, what's up? It's me, Brianna, and I'm back with another video. And first off, I want to apologize for my stuffy voice. I'm sort of sick right now, but I'm filming anyways. As I was saying, today's video is going to be another video, and it's going to be pretty exciting because this is going to be a pretty requested video that I've never done before, and that's a sort of school organization tips for school and like study tips for going back to school. On my last video, which is my what's in my backpack video, a ton of you guys requested for me to do this video, so I thought, hey, you know what, it would be fun to do, and a lot of you guys wanted to know how I organize my stuff, which, to be honest, I'm not the most efficiently organized person in the world, but I thought I would share with you guys some of my study tips that I like to use and just, you know, how I organize my folders and binders and supplies for all my different classes. So yeah, without further ado, I hope you enjoyed the video and let's get started. So my first organization tip for you guys is going to be how I organize all my binders and all my classwork. So I'm in high school, so I have a lot of classes and a lot of binders and stuff, and so it gets pretty crazy at times, but my tip for you guys would be to either label your binders or color code them. So I'm just going to go through really quickly and show you guys all my binders and pretty much how I organize them. So I have my main binder right here, which is just a black 1.5 inch binder that I decorated with a bunch of different logos of my favorite things. So if you guys wondered how I did this, a lot of people asked me on my Instagram if these were stickers, but legit all I did was I just googled, like, you know, 5 Sauce logo or Batman logo on Google Images, then I printed the logo off on just normal printer paper, and then I cut it out to the shape that I wanted it to be in, and it's super duper easy. I feel like I wouldn't have to do a video on it because I feel like it's pretty self-explanatory, but that's pretty much how I did it. And then I just put tape on the back of it and taped it in this cover that my binder came in. So this is actually my French binder, which is my I cannot talk today. It's my foreign language binder. So this is a 1.5 inch, and it is the biggest binder that I have for all my classes, and it does hold the most stuff. So I'm just going to show you guys pretty much how I organize this. But basically I have stuff right here. This is like a little trapper keeper that comes in the binder, and I just have pretty much miscellaneous papers in here along with my class schedule. And then on the top I like to keep the most recent work that we're working on, so like homework and stuff and anything that we're working on like that week, which I do have a lot of papers in French for this week. So anything that we're working on that week or any study guides that I need to have, I like to have right here for where it's easy grabs and it's for easy reach when I'm in that class or when I'm at home doing homework and things like that. And also I like to have notebook paper in here or just a one subject notebook. So I just have a one subject notebook in here for French, and then French did require me to have tab dividers, and normally if your teacher requires you to have tab dividers, they'll tell you what to label them, but if not, you can just kind of have fun with it and label it whatever you think you'll remember. But I just have color-coded folder tab dividers, and I really recommend this to you guys if you guys are ones that lose papers a lot, or if your teacher does not hole punch papers, because these folder ones are much better than just the normal tab dividers, because if something doesn't even have to be hole punched, and you can just put it in here, and also they're double-sided, and I feel like it holds a lot more papers and it keeps your papers more secure so they won't fall out. But yeah, pretty much that's how I organize all my French stuff. I just have all of my units and what they're called, and right now since the beginning of the school year we're only in unit 1, but yeah, that's pretty much how all my binders are organized. But I just thought I'd show you that one since it was my biggest one and it did have the most stuff in it. Okay, so this binder is purple, and this is my algebra binder, and this is just a 1-inch binder. The rest of my classes normally just either require folders or binders, but for big classes, for year-long classes like algebra and things like that, I like to have a binder so I won't lose anything, because I feel like when I have folders I'm always losing stuff. Anyways, this is what the inside of my algebra binder looks like. So right here I have notes that I keep in class, and this is the notes that we're actually working on right now, and it's how to solve equations. I have a bit of trouble solving equations, so I like to keep these notes in the front of my binder, so if I'm in class or at home working on homework solving equations, that can be for easy grabs. Then I also have some graph paper right here. I don't even know why that's there. And then we're getting into the tabs. My algebra teacher was actually kind enough to tell us how many tabs that we needed and what to label them. So one's labeled bell work, then the other one's labeled notes, then we have homework, exit slips, and quizzes and tests. But like I said, if your teacher doesn't even require tab dividers and doesn't even tell you what to put on your tabs, you can just have fun with it. But so I have, once again, the folder tab dividers, which like I said really comes in handy, and I like it a lot better than the traditional ones. And then in the back I just have some loose leaf notebook paper, which also comes in handy. And yeah, this is pretty much how my algebra binder will probably stay throughout the whole year, because we do work in a springboard book through most of the year, but this is just a really nice way of organizing my things, and that's how I organize this one. And then lastly, for my binders, I just have a black binder, which this one's a smaller one. This one is for my honors English class, and this one is black like the French one, but the French one has, like, you know, logos on it so I can tell them apart. Plus this one's smaller. So in this one we haven't really done much in English class this year yet, but I do have a folder in this one instead of tab dividers, because my teacher either said you can either have a binder or a folder, but instead of putting tab dividers in here, I thought it'd just be much easier just to have a, you know, hole punched folder. Then I also just have a notebook because for English we do a lot of writing and essays and things like that. But that's just what it looks like for now. It's pretty plain Jane and simple, and everything can kind of just stay in one place and I won't lose everything. So a tip that I recommend is if your teacher says that you can have a folder instead of a binder, I would really recommend a folder. So like my science teacher said we can have a binder. I know some classes do say, oh, we don't want you to have folders, we need you to have a binder with tabs. So yeah, like I said, if your teacher says you can have folders instead of binders and it's not required to have a binder, definitely get folders because binders can be a pain in the butt sometimes when you want them to fit in your book bag. So I'm just going to show you guys the two folders that I have here for two of my classes. So this one is for my theater class, and I just keep this, you know, in my book bag or in my locker and things like that and get it out when I need to go to that class. So this one's black, and once again these are all color coded, so I have black for theater, and then the last folder that I have is for my science class, and then this one is just blue and it has all my science papers in here. And yeah, also I do recommend getting the folders that have 3 hole punches in it too, just in case you do want to put it in a binder. And another tip that I might have is if you want to just get one big binder to keep all your classes in and then just have a folder for each class and stay classy like that, then you could. I used to be able to do that back in the day, but now my classes do require for me to have binders, but these two didn't. So that would be a tip that I have for you guys. If you don't have classes that require you to have binders, you could just get one big binder or one big trapper keeper and then have folders and just keep all your folders in there. But yeah, that's just pretty much what I do since those classes don't require folders. Okay, so another tip for you guys for my world history class, and I don't know why I did this, I got this little accordion file trapper keeper. This would be another thing. If you guys lose papers a lot, I would definitely recommend getting a trapper keeper, but this is the one that I keep all my world history papers in, and it's sort of like a different one. It's not like the one that goes like this, but it stands up, and I got these at Meijer, I'm pretty sure. So if you guys have like your local grocery store, normally they would sell them, probably Target would sell them too, but they just look like this, and you can put your papers in there and stand them up. And this is just pretty much for now where I keep my history papers. Instead of getting a normal folder, I wanted to change it up a bit and kind of have this, since history I do a lot of notes and get a lot of papers, so I wanted to have something a bit bigger. So yeah, that's another thing that I would definitely recommend, like I said, especially if you're one that loses papers a lot, is to get like an accordion file or something to this sort to sort of help you keep track of everything. Okay, so that is how I organize all of my binders. Now I'm going to move on to how I organize all of my supplies and where I keep all my extra pencils, pens, index cards, and things like that. So for everything like that, all of my extra pencils and my calculator and stuff, I just got a pencil case, and this is pretty self-explanatory. I feel like everyone has one of these. It's just your simple pencil case. I got mine from Staples, and what I have in here is all my pencils and extra lead and stuff. So I just have my favorite pencil, which I love the Papermate pencils, like the mechanical pencils. And then going along with having a mechanical pencil, I do have to have some extra lead, so I just keep that in there. Then I just have some extra pens right here, and then when you actually open up the pencil pouch, that's where I keep my calculator and things like that. So I do have some vocabulary index cards, which are going to be really good for studying, and I'll get into that in a minute. And then I just have my big fat TI-84 Plus calculator for algebra, because that's crazy and it's bulky, and I just keep it in there so I won't lose it. And then I just have some colored pencils because that's what my math teacher wanted us to use to mark in my springboard book. So I just have that, and that's pretty much all that I keep in there. It's just all my extra stuff like highlighters and colored pencils and extra pens and pencils. And then normally as for the pens and pencils that I use throughout the day, I just keep those in my pocket or in the little pouch in my book bag. If you guys would like to see my what's in my book bag video where I show you guys how I organized everything in my book bag, that'll be linked down below. But this is just for what I keep in my book bag when, you know, I either run out of pencils or need a new pen. I can go in here and it'll be easy to get. Alright, so that was pretty much all that I have for organization tips. You know, I went over how I organize my binders and how I organize all my extra supplies. If you guys would like a locker organization video, let me know and I'll try to like get into my school and film. So let me know in the comments below and I'll try to work on that for you guys. Anyways, now I'm just going to get into probably 3 or 5 study tips that I'm going to share with you guys really quickly before I end this video. So study tips, if you guys take a foreign language or if you take a class where you have to memorize things and then take a quiz on it, I recommend flashcards, and you can even have color-coded flashcards. That would probably work better, but for me, this is what I like to do. So for example, a couple weeks ago, I had a French test that I had to study for, and we had to memorize numbers. So what I would do, I would basically write the number on the card right here. So say like the number we have to know in French is 60, so I would write 60 right here, and then on the back of the index card, I would write 60, which is 60, and I probably totally butchered that because I'm still learning French, but I would write the number on the back right there, and then I would just have my friend, you know, or just have my parents help me study, and that's definitely really beneficial. Also, if you're trying to learn vocabulary for a test, you know, you can do it the old-fashioned way. and just put the vocabulary word on here and then the definition on the back and have your friend help you. But another tip that I have for that is to color code things. So you could color code things like definitions could be in purple, and then your like numbers, if you're learning numbers for a foreign language class, could be in blue, and then you could just keep all of your index cards on this little spiral thing, which I really recommend. Instead of having normal plain Jane index cards, I recommend getting them on a spiral thing so you won't lose them, or you can get like one of those hooks that you hook on your keychain. But yeah, that's one of my tips that I have for studying. If you're trying to memorize something or learn like a definition, that definitely helped me. Another thing that helped me when studying is what I did. I did this for my French class, and I'm just going to go ahead and get it out of my binder and show you guys, but I actually did this for my French class, and it was really helpful for when I studied. So if you guys have to like memorize numbers, or if you're taking a foreign language, this really helped me. So what I did is the teacher normally will give you notes on your numbers, like a notes before you learn them so you can, you know, memorize them. So what I did was I wrote numbers 1 through 60 or 60 through 100 on a piece of paper, because we had a test on numbers 1 through 100, and then I just did 60 through 100 on a piece of paper because that was the hardest ones to memorize. And then what I did was I just rewrote it a bunch of times, and I went on YouTube and I googled like French numbers 60 through 100 of someone saying them, because a lot of the times it would have to be where you would have to listen to someone speaking and then write it down. And so I did that, and I literally just wrote it down numerous times, and eventually it stuck in my head. And then when it came to the test and me having to write it down, I memorized it like that. So that's definitely another study tip that would probably be really beneficial, just sort of writing things down, because for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, I have to look at something like 20 to 30 times before it actually sticks in my head, and I have to hear something and, you know, learn about something probably like 10 times before I actually memorize it. So that's some study tips that I would have for you guys. Also, another little organization tip that I want to throw in here before I end this video is if you guys have a school planner or anything that you're planning, I get these little miniature binder clips, and you can find these at Target. That's where I found mine. But they're just these little miniature binder clips, and instead of wanting to like fold your paper to try to keep track of where your things are, and this would also work for like if you have a textbook too or a Springboard book, just get like these miniature binder clips and you can mark your page, and it's definitely really helpful because literally I can just like have it right there and then open to the week that we're at. And also another thing going along with that is I definitely recommend to have a planner, and I don't personally like writing in my school planner, but it definitely helps you remember things, because most of the time if I don't write things in my planner, by the end of the day I'm like, crap, what did I have for homework? So yeah, that was pretty much all of my organization tips that I have for you guys for back to school. I hope that these helped you, and like I said, if you guys would like to see a locker organization video, let me know so I can sort of work on that and try to get into the school and film. But yeah, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day, and I love you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!